Today we're going to do some Q&A. For those who are new here, I'm Jody Lamb. I'm an author, speaker, and educator for adult children of alcoholics. I grew up with an alcoholic mother, and for several years, I've been sharing what I've learned along the way in my own healing journey to heal from those past experiences and create a life I love today. One of the most frustrating, infuriating, confusing comments I've received over the years as I've been sharing on this topic is, why are you so stuck in the past? Or comments like, everyone needs to move forward regardless of what you experienced as a kid. Don't look in the rear view mirror, just focus ahead. And I've thought a lot about this perspective, and I'm grateful that people take the opportunity to just share their differing views on this. But I do not subscribe to that don't look in the rearview mirror mindset. I truly believe that the only way to create a joyful life, a free life, if you grew up with an alcoholic parent or any other kind of dysfunctional environment, is to fully recognize how you were negatively affected growing up in those kinds of environments. I've interacted with so many adult children of alcoholics or people who grew up with some other kind of dysfunction, like a narcissistic parent or parent with certain mental health illnesses. They have shared how it wasn't until they truly spent time in the discomfort of thinking about how those past experiences affected them that they could clearly see what they needed to work on in their healing journey in order to be free, in order to move forward and create a life they love. For me personally, that's exactly how it went. When I reached my desperation point when I was 26 years old, when I felt so deeply depressed that I didn't look forward to waking up every day, that is when I realized that I had to think about and acknowledge how much I had been affected by my mom's drinking. At that point, I had completely stopped taking care of myself, and I was just fully obsessed with my mom's drinking and finding a solution for her to stop drinking so we could all live happily ever after. That's what I thought was the key to my ability to live my own life, was if I could finally help my mom stop drinking. When I got educated, of course, I realized that I really needed to just focus on myself, that I could not control her. I couldn't force her to get help, that she had to be the one to accept help and be ready to change, ready to take on the addiction that had the grips on her. My mindset is that you have to spend time thinking about truly identifying all the ways you were affected by those dysfunctional experiences, thinking about what you did not have, what you did have, and how that translates to issues that you are facing today. This is how you identify what is holding you back and how you identify what you need to do to move forward. Once I started my healing journey by going to Al-Anon and ACA support group meetings, I started to see a therapist by reading all the books about the science of addiction, how it affects families, how it affected me, which led to me to realize how completely normal I was growing up in those experiences. That's when I really saw that I was very ill and I had to learn how to take good care of myself. And by taking those steps to do so, by focusing on that little kid in me who didn't get to truly be a kid, that's when I could start my healing. That's when I did start my healing. I'm a firm believer in the need, the requirement to spend time in those past experiences, as painful as it is, as uncomfortable it is, in order to know where to go. in order to be able to look forward. I've just met too many people who've had these past experiences who went for decades pretending they didn't have those experiences or trying to convince themselves that it wasn't really that bad. It wasn't until they started thinking about it or being with a therapist and sharing those experiences or listening in the support groups to other people's stories that the light bulbs went off to realize, wow, holy cow, what what did I experience? And wow, I survived that. It's so freeing to have that realization because then you can clearly see, all right, that was a lot. There was a lot I was robbed of. There was a lot I had to go through. Now, what is the life that I want? How do I want to feel every day? What feelings do I want to shed? And what do I need to do to get to that point? There is nothing easy about this process. It requires time and energy, maybe time and energy that would be a lot easier to spend doing something else or entertainment. But I truly believe that it is way more than worth it to put the time and energy into this. Your life can change in ways that you can't even imagine. Way back when I was 26, I couldn't picture life feeling any different than it did at that point in time because I didn't know anything else. My whole life I had been feeling like it was my responsibility to fix my mom. I was the eldest daughter. It was my duty. It was the right thing to do to keep everything together, to keep it a secret from the rest of the world about how bad the drinking situation had become. Once you do start your healing journey, that once you have a plan, then you're free to really focus on the future and creating new memories, new traditions, new self-care rituals, new self-care practices. That is when you have your blank pages. One of the most beautiful analogies, I believe, for adult children of alcoholics healing is that when you're born into a family, you have the first several chapters written for you, right? You can't control the kind of environment you're born into, how your family treats you, their situation, addiction in the home. You can't control any of that because you're just a little kid. But then when you reach adulthood and you can recognize how you've been affected, that's when you have the opportunity to turn the page and start writing that story. It's yours. There are blank pages. You hold the pen, and it requires time, energy, effort. And it is not easy, but it is so worth it rather than keeping that pen in someone else's hand, because that's basically what happens if you don't take steps to change it. You continue down the path of your loved ones, of your family. What's so wonderful about the world that we live in today is that there are so many resources with support groups, with all of the books about addiction and adult children of alcoholic syndrome and growing up in a dysfunctional environment and how to heal, podcasts, videos from regular people like me who've started their healing journey, and therapists who have expertise in dysfunctional families and adult children of alcoholics. You have the opportunity to change your life. And I am so rooting for you. I created a free guide for adult children of alcoholics to start their healing journey. If you're ready to get started on your healing journey, check out the link in this video's description. I created it because it's the guide that I wish I had found when I started my journey way back in 2009. Thank you for being here, and let me know in the comments, how do you think about this mindset about not looking in the rearview mirror and looking ahead? Let me know, and let's continue the conversation with our community here. Thanks for being here.